Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. If you're not new here, hi, welcome back. It's great to see you. This is a reading for Virgo, Sun, Moon, or Rising, or for those with significant Virgo placements. There may be a message in here for you. So Virgo, I'm getting a lot of downloads and messages for your reading today. The first one is the last Virgo reading, which I'll link above. Had something to do with sort of like some sort of recognition or karmic correction that's happening. I feel like that's relevant for your reading today as well. So you may want to watch that video, but you don't have to for this video. It will be a separate message, but there is that influence coming through. There's another message that I did, a collective reading a while back, that had to do with sort of like, the title was like glitchy matrix events. So I'll link that above, which basically was just talking about like, sometimes there are events where like the first time around that you experience it, it ends up in sort of like heartbreak or like a broken energy. That's how it was coming through, like something that was broken or lost or heartbreak, where that's the first time you encounter it, but then it comes back around in order for it to be completed, or that there's some sort of closure or something like that the second time you experience it. So there's something like that coming through, Virgo, where it's like, I feel like there is some sort of event or some sort of situation that feels very familiar, slightly different circumstances, but feels familiar in that way, where it's coming back around in order for it to be completed or for there to be closure or something like that. In order to like correct a past energy that was broken or ended up in a heartbreak or something like that. So it's kind of like this new energy feels familiar in that it's like similar to something from the past, but the circumstances are now right for it to be completed, or for there to be closure, or for there to be a completion of whatever energy. Just being conscious of that though, Virgo, because there may be a bit of resistance in sort of like this familiar energy, because it might feel like you are, it might feel like you're, how do I describe this? It might feel like you're repeating a cycle, which maybe you don't like, I don't know, maybe feels like you don't want to go back to that. It doesn't, but the thing is though, I feel like Virgo, whatever this thing is, it is meant to benefit you. So if you do feel like you're repeating a cycle or something like that, it's because you haven't actually gained the pearl or the wisdom or the gem from that experience that you will need in order to move forward. So whatever is happening now, where it feels kind of like there's like, maybe you're revisiting a past cycle, or there's something that feels familiar, may even remind you of some sort of past heartbreak or something like that, is to surrender to the process, trust the process, because there is something for you to gain here. It will be sort of like a completing of a cycle. It feels like, okay. Anything else that wants to come through with that, or can I pull cards now? There is something about divine timing that's coming through, because I feel like there is a situation from the past where I feel like it was cut short, is how it was coming through to me, Virgo. Like there was a cycle that you were meant to complete, but for whatever reason it was cut short, and it's kind of like you bypassed a cycle that you needed. So it's almost like you have to go back and finish that cycle. Again, there may be resistance to that, but it's for your benefit. It is for your benefit to go back and complete the cycle. Okay, the way that it was intended to be completed. There's also something here about free will that's coming through, because there's something about, like, of course we all have free will, but I also believe that there are some contracts and some lessons that we are here to learn that we don't really have a choice. Like, it's already been decided, some contracts and some lessons. But I think the free will aspect comes in where it's like we can decide how and when and with who and in what circumstances we want to complete those lessons. So that's how it's feeling. Because it kind of feels like maybe there was a lesson from the past that you had to learn or you had to go through, but it wasn't the right circumstances, or you chose not to complete it with that person, place, event, situation. So it's kind of like that lesson is coming back around, but in slightly different circumstances that feels like it's better. It's more harmonious in some way. That's how it's coming through, Virgo. Okay. I think I said what needed to be said, and I'm going to pull cards for you. Sorry, I'm going to start with the Starcodes Astro Oracle. Okay. So for Virgo. Patience is key in whatever this cycle is. Also remembering that you were not the same person as you were in the past. So if there is something familiar or like something like that that's coming back around that maybe you're feeling a bit of worry or anxiety about, it's like you're not the same person that you were before, and that this time is meant to complete a cycle. So just keeping that in mind. The card that you got is Resources, the second house. So it could have to do with resources in some way. And you have Aries, Act. So the second house is ruled by Taurus and Venus. So explore how you feel about money. So many people on the spiritual path have mixed feelings about money, their bodies, and possessions, drawn to abundance and at the same time wrestling with guilt or discomfort around desire. This approach avoidance conflict around the material world can make it hard to focus your efforts, and it may send out mixed messages until the universe doesn't know how to respond to help you. The second house asks you to build a clear and congruent message about your relationship to your resources that you can stand behind with integrity. Yeah. So you're dealing with the material world at the moment, Virgo. The challenge of this card is what you see is not all there is. If you are looking for emotional and spiritual satisfaction in your stuff, it will never be enough because it never quite scratches the itch. The gift of this card is that your skills and your resources and your interests can all be sacred if you make an offering of your intention and engage your work for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay, so whatever lesson it is that you're going through has to do with resources and your relationship to resources. So it could be material things, could have to do with like your body or possessions. And if there's anything that's... So this past energy may be attached to work. It could be attached to resources in whatever way, or the physical, material world, where maybe in the past there was something where there was maybe heartbreak or loss associated with resources. So your relationship to resources, or how you view resources in general, may have become skewed or broken or like misaligned in whatever way. So whatever is coming back around, it feels like, Virgo, or a situation that feels familiar to whatever that past situation is, this is meant to correct that energy. It's meant to correct it, to like especially if there's been any sort of heartbreak or whatever associated with it, or like pain or loss or whatever. This feels kind of like it's meant to heal that aspect. The familiar circumstances or situation is meant to heal it. So it does feel beneficial. But just be conscious though, Virgo, it may stir up feelings of resistance or pain or sadness or things like that, because the circumstances feel quite familiar to something from the past. Okay. Yeah. So you have forgiveness, the patellas, the kneecaps, and then you have attachment, atlas vertebra. Very interesting. So this forgiveness card reminds me, because it's like somebody on their knees, right? So maybe there's a situation where you are forgiving someone or something, or there's especially if there's been any sort of like heartbreak or loss or pain, it's like there's forgiveness happening. But it does remind me of, because it's like somebody, like the skeleton is on their knees, it feels like a bit of a drowned king energy from this deck especially. So there may be something of like maybe there's an ego death happening. So forgiveness may be the hardest work you'll do in your life, but it is also the most freeing. When you sink to the ground in prayer, submission, supplication, or what may feel like defeat, you are placing your patellas on Mama Earth. This grounds you in a deeper elemental container for release and reinforces that forgiveness is work you don't have to do on your own. Forgiveness is the most radical act of self-compassion. The trick is to remember the lesson you learned when you were on your knees. Yeah. It's interesting. It's a fire element, and it assists in transmuting grudges. So maybe there was something from the past where you were holding a grudge, or you were holding on to energy of anger or pain or sadness that's now being asked to release that, Virgo. I'm going to read the attachment card as well. Attachment is your foundation for belonging. Whether you identify as belonging more to the heavens or the earth, to a community or yourself, how you feel about this belonging is both the primal and spiritual medicine. Secure attachment does not grasp, struggle, push away, disown, hoard, abandon, or manipulate. Those are indications of misaligned attachment. The embodied medicine of secure attachment often appears as non-attachment. It is settled and wise. It knows that people and things can come and go, appear imminently close or infinitely far away, and you're still safe. You still belong. You still have a place and a home and the security that you crave and desire. You're still interconnected to all things. You are safe in your attachment and secure in the way you belong. This knowledge resonates through your spine and body from this place of embodiment. Where and how do I seek security in the physical world? Do I feel safe and secure in the relationships and resources in my life? How did the first 3 years of my life help create a foundation for secure or insecure attachment? How secure do I feel in my relationship with and connection to the divine, spiritual, and cosmic world? Okay, that's really interesting. So maybe you are forgiving. Okay, because there's so much coming through with just these two cards. There's the attachment is bringing in this energy of secure versus insecure attachment. So if there were circumstances, it is bringing up sort of like parental or guardian kind of energy, like people who were responsible for raising you, who provided a secure or insecure environment in the first few years of your life. That might be part of it. There may be forgiveness that comes with that energy as well. So you may be healing some inner child wounding. There may be also the shift of like understanding what your attachment style is, especially because it's coming through with insecure versus secure attachments. And that perhaps you're making, and it could also have to do with resources, right? Like how you feel safe and secure, your stability is also coming through with that. Because, yeah, it could be that you're making an effort to create more secure attachments, which is interesting, because the secure attachment style is one that almost appears like it's not attached, where it's like no matter what happens, you're okay with whatever happens, right? Like it's kind of like this energy of like big changes are doable, things are manageable, there's no manipulation, there's no grasping, there's no like holding on to things unnecessarily, like that kind of energy. It's kind of just like an energy that flows with whatever is happening. That's how it's coming through with this attachment energy. Yeah, so you may be working with the root and sacral chakras, especially with the cards that are coming through. Okay, I'm gonna pull one more card for you, Virgo. I can't remember if I said this already, but Taurus. Yeah, I did. There may be Taurus energy that's coming through for you. You may want to watch the last Taurus reading from last week. Your stability is really... Stability has been a theme for all the earth sign readings, because I feel like there may be sort of changes that are happening collectively, and earth signs may be more affected by it just because it's so stable, right? There's a lot of changes happening, it feels like, in the earth collectively that may be affecting you at this time. Okay, can I get a card for breakthrough for Virgo? There's something about the snakes here as well, because it's kind of bringing in Mercury energy, which is of course the ruler of Virgo. So there could be something about communication, but it also feels very healing. Like I'm seeing like the I'm seeing something to, you know, the caduceus, the staff that Mercury holds with the two snakes, which is also a symbol of like healing and medicine. There's something like that that's coming through there. Maybe you're healing some sort of attachment to something. Like, so it could be attachment style, right? Becoming more secure in yourself or secure in your attachments. Okay. Dreaming. Occipital. Yeah, I think this card came out in the Taurus reading as well. And you have transformed sphenoid at the bottom of the deck. Okay. I'm going to read part of the dreaming description. The dreaming is collective and personal. It can be both deeply destructive and incredibly restorative. There's no agenda to the dreaming. You are simply existing in relationship with it. You receive the medicine you need from this place, and in turn you contribute your own medicine. You cannot unsee what comes forth from this realm, but venturing within it doesn't need to be scary. There's an entire rich world living in these parts of yourself that is waiting to be reclaimed and brought to wholeness. You can look at them, accept them, love them, and yes, even find delight and pleasure in them. Cozying up in these depths is restorative, and shining a light on what has been kept here will unlock more than you can imagine. In the dreaming, you have permission to be with the wholeness of your humanity. How can I nurture a relationship with the subconscious parts of myself that come forward in dreams? Okay, so your dreams, this is literally talking about your dreams, Virgo, for you. So you may be working with subconscious energies, so pay attention to your dreams. If you can, write them down, if you remember them, or make a conscious effort to do that. There's also something coming through with that. about so of course in the spiritual, I feel like dreams have a whole different meaning, but in like the scientific realm, where I don't think anyone truly knows the real purpose of dreams in the scientific community, because they just haven't been studied enough. But one thing that I think is generally accepted is that dreams, or like when we're sleeping, dreams can show us energies that while we're waking, for whatever reason, we can't process fully, or we don't understand, or like dreams can be sort of showing us things that our conscious mind is unable to process. So it is kind of coming through as like bypassing the ego, that your dreams are bypassing some aspect of your ego that maybe is not allowing you to receive messages or understanding or clarity, perhaps about resources in whatever way, which is really interesting, Virgo. There's something here about that. Like maybe your dreams are showing you some sort of connection or link that you're not seeing, that needs to be cleared in some way, or that where there's forgiveness necessary, or where there's an attachment that's needs more stability, or that needs more healing, or something like that. There's something of like an attachment that needs healing. And it may be coming up in your dream state. So just being conscious of that. Because there's also, which is really interesting, there's like a little, like, it almost looks like a droplet of Mercury, which is, Mercury is, again, the planet that rules over Virgo. And it's looking like the Quicksilver, which is coming through with, like, again, that card, I think that card also came out in Taurus, where there's some sort of like sacred threshold that you're sort of sitting in right now. And it feels like it has to do with forgiving something from the past, or something to do with like attachments from the past that you're forgiving, that maybe had an impact on your resources. I do feel like there's some sort of dream that's wanting to come to life for you, Virgo. That's or like maybe you haven't allowed yourself to dream. And maybe your dreams are trying to show you something about like about, I don't know, something that you desire, but maybe your ego hasn't allowed you to dream that dream, right? Like, because the ego here is coming through as being like our conditioned beliefs, or like the things that we believe to be true, or the way in which we engage with the world, our identity. So maybe there's something of like an ego aspect where it's like it's become too rigid, or it's become too like you haven't allowed yourself to dream because of this aspect of the ego. So some aspect of your identity, perhaps. And it's kind of like wanting you to explore that a little bit more, Virgo. Like what is it that you really dream about? Or what is it that you really desire? And it may be tied to resources. Because maybe there's something of a dream that you have, but like the resources, or like your relationship to resources feels like it's out of alignment in some way, or that there's something of like an insecure attachment to resources. Interesting. An insecure attachment to resources that is preventing you from realizing this dream. Okay. I'm going to pull cards from the Alchemy deck for you, Virgo. How can Virgo alchemize this or transform this? There may be something of like past traumas that you're integrating at the moment. So you may be really deep in this process of dissolution. This is like connected to the Drowned King, but it's not so like the Drowned King has this really tough and heavy energy. This one doesn't have that. It is an energy though about ego death. One second. Or dissolving of the ego. Surrender, dissolving, and formlessness. It's the great alchemical operation of water. It represents the form becoming formless, that which is solid dissolving into liquid. Dissolve to unite. This involves dissolving of definitions, identities, and labels. The strongholds of the ego drown in the emotional realms of water. We dive back to the beginning, the prima materia. This operation is humbling and disorienting, and oftentimes feels as though the self we knew has disappeared. Who are we now? How will others describe us? When these questions are afoot, the alchemical magic of Solutio is underway. By surrendering to the waves, we unite with the primordial essence and return to our deepest self. Yeah. Because this to me, this forgiveness card looks like the Drowned King. Because it talks about being on your knees. Take note, if both appear, it indicates the ego is ready to be surrendered to something greater than itself. Hang on for the ride. Okay, Virgo, there's something of your identity or some aspect of your ego that's dissolving. It doesn't have to be a negative experience. In fact, I feel like for you, it's actually quite positive, because I feel like whatever this ego aspect is that's dissolving is one that was formed from pain and heartbreak, where it's like, especially it could have come from your parents, right? It could have been something like generational or family based or something where, especially with like resources, like your connection to resources or your relationship to resources, or how you view your sense of stability and material wealth, there's something about that, your belief in that, or your relation to that that's going through a dissolution process. It's dissolving because it was formed from heartbreak. So it's like whatever this process is that's happening, it's very much coming through with water and fire, where something is dissolving in order to be transmuted. And like this sort of like more stable and secure attachment is coming through that has to do with something that you dream of, Virgo. It's like some sort of dream is wanting to come through, but first you need to dissolve this attachment to resources in whatever way. Or stability, if you don't want to use resources as a specific example. It's like what makes you feel safe and secure. And of course, resources is a big part of that. Maybe also paying attention to what house or what planet rules over what the second house for you in your chart, because that might also bring you more insights. This feels kind of like a situation, especially where it's like your family history and how your family grew up in terms of resources is a big influence on this. That's how it's coming through. So how you view money as inherited from your family is something that's being surrendered. Okay. Pluto. Yeah, Pluto. Okay, because right now Pluto, of course, this big transit that's been talked about a lot in the spiritual community, Pluto in Aquarius, right? For the next 20 years or so. And it has been moving, like it has moved out of Capricorn, which Capricorn is coming through with this energy of attachment. There's so much earth energy though, but I feel like there's something here about Pluto where our collectively, our relationship to sort of Capricornian energy is going through a massive transformation and rebirth through Aquarius energy, which is really interesting. I'm just going to skim what this one says. Everything will be amplified as if through a live wire. It's all about power and maybe even addiction. Though Pluto's force field can be ruthless, this tiny planet pushes us towards necessary growth. Okay, there's no point in pretending the underworld is not at work. Admit that you're in it and find the support you need. Not making it worse is a big accomplishment. Okay. Amplification, which is really interesting. There's an amplification of something. Okay, can I get one more card for Virgo? Vinegar, which is this is also a card about amplification, which is really interesting. If you look at these two cards, they both have this sort of like cross in the middle, which is really, really interesting to me. Vinegar brings it depends on what other cards are around it, right? Because vinegar is it brings a sour note. It can also have the effect of brightening something, right? Like if you add vinegar to something that you're eating, it can sort of bring a freshness or lighten up something that's sort of heavy. That's how I see the vinegar card. But it's also coming through distillation and memory. Acts as an active agent of distillation, fermentation, and preservation. It is incredibly useful when applied in the right amounts and with intention. This said, it can be easily overused, overwhelming the situation at hand. It's likely something from the past is showing up in the present and demanding our attention. It is in vinegar's nature to take over and to overwhelm. Be cautious with this material. A little goes a long way. As they say, it is productive to look at the past, but not to stare. Such is the complex energy of vinegar. Okay, interesting. So it can be used as a helpful ally in the laboratory to identify a memory that is causing trouble or grief. It is a wonderful means of distillation. Okay. Yeah. I feel like there's something here of like you're identifying a memory that is causing grief, Virgo, or that's causing difficulty in your current environment, something from the past that is needing to be surrendered or like let go of, or especially with the dissolution, like dissolved, it's becoming formless. Can I get one more card? Those are all very intense cards. And it's all feeling quite watery as well. Because vinegar can also be used to clean or sanitize. Yeah. Benevolent guide. you are on the right path, Virgo, and you cannot be led astray. That's what this card talks about. And you have alchemical wedding at the bottom of the deck. You can trust this energy, whatever it is for you. I'm going to pull one more card from the Animal Apothecary deck. With the cross, there's like the symbol of a cross. There's some sort of, it feels kind of like a devotion or a path that is meant for you to, kind of feels a bit like a spiritual awakening path. Like whatever this path is going to awaken or expand your spiritual connection or something like that. Face your fear, Virgo. Face your fear. I do think that you have Master Manifestor at the bottom of the deck, which is another one of those like face your fear cards. I feel like whatever it is that you're facing right now is your fear, especially with the Pluto card. It's something where it's like the fear and underworld energies coming through, like shadow energies that you're working with, maybe things that you're afraid of, especially things from the past that are coming back around, perhaps. Okay, I'm going to read that card. You have the number 38, which may be a synchronistic number for you. So in the forest, Crow will often warn other animals of oncoming hunters. Crow comes when a fear or uncomfortable situation must be faced and transformed. It is through facing the fear that the animals in the forest are able to escape and survive. Crow isn't just cawing at you to face your fears, he's asking you to do something with the energy that comes from those fears. Crow is the master alchemist. Alchemy was the practice of transmutation, turning base metals such as lead into a more valuable metal like gold. Many alchemists were interested in this science on a psychological level. We can apply the principle of alchemy to our psychological development. Think about the power your pain holds. What if you can take the energy of all your trauma, fear, worry, and doubt and turn it into your greatest asset? Crow says you can turn the energy of pain into your shining light. The key is the consistent effort to manipulate your emotions to your liking. For example, let's say you are dealing with a trigger that is bringing up fear. First, accept what you feel, and then choose to transmute the energy. If you are fearful of something and avoiding it, face it and deal with it. If you are lost in a trauma bubble, choose to shift your physiology by movement and exercise. If you are procrastinating to clean, clean. If you're avoiding telling someone your true feelings, then tell them. If you feel unhealthy and attractive, change how you eat and adorn your body with clothes that honor your appearance. If you are overwhelmed with feeling like a victim, create an art project that demonstrates your power. The idea isn't to escape what you are dealing with, but instead face it and then change how you are dealing with it. This is when the shift begins. Crow's medicine to transmute energy is also your birthright. Take action and transmute your energy. Okay, yeah, Virgo. You're in a process here where it's like you're taking your pain, your trauma, anything that's causing sort of sadness or heartbreak or whatever it is, and you're turning it into something else in a way that's very productive and that helps you and benefits you. It's an alchemical process that you're in, and one that sort of involves cleaning. It feels kind of like cleaning up a vibration or letting go of some sort of ego energy that is preventing you from realizing your dreams, right? It's about like letting something go from the past, perhaps forgiving something. Okay, Virgo, I'm going to leave it there. If this reading resonated with you, please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for sharing your energy, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.